Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Master Coach podcast. My name is Jason. I'm the head coach and trainer here at Wild Success. And today I'm joined by Maddi Callipari, who is a personal trainer and yoga teacher and been in that space for about 4 years. And over the last 6 months has made a transition into becoming a coach. And she calls herself a confidence coach. So Maddi, welcome to the show. Really glad to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jace. Can I just start off by saying this is actually unreal that I'm on here. When I started my journey with you guys, I have absolutely smashed listening to the Wildcast. So I feel like I'm so nervous to be here right now because it's just been something I've looked up to for ages.
Oh, beautiful. We really appreciate that. And hey, if you're listening out there, who knows, in 6 months' time, you could be on the other side of this Zoom microphone having this conversation. Awesome. So let's start off by saying confidence coach obviously is quite a broad term. Who do you work with specifically? Like who's sort of your target demographic? What's your sort of market?
Yep. So my target demographic would be 18 to 30-year-olds. Just as, you know, I'm 25 at the moment.
Smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, smack dab in the middle. Men and women, mostly women. But yeah, young people in the community that are really looking to become more confident in their own decisions. So it's not really, when I talk about being a confidence coach, it's not about, like how confidence looks, how to walk confident, how to speak confident, all that stuff that's like exterior. It's more on the inside. So how can we trust ourselves more? How can we, embody our decisions more, how we can trust ourselves more.
Right. And yeah, as you said, that goes across genders, across ages. It's not something that's unique to any particular age bracket, right? Everyone has confidence issues in different areas of their life and in different ways in their life as they grow older. So I love that. And I love that a lot of people will relate to that because a lot of people think that they just need to be more confident or that confidence is the key, but you can always kind of do that whole sell them what they want, give them what they need kind of thing, right? Oh yeah, you want to be more confident? Well, first we got to look inside. Oh, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Perfect. So I know you started your journey with us went through the art of coaching, and then you did the 4-day master prac of NLP. And then from there, you actually kind of skyrocketed in your success. You just took that and absolutely ran with it. So what was it in that sort of that learning of the advanced tools and then using the personal breakthrough session as the foundation? Was that like the foundation of your business model, that kind of spark that ignited things?
Yeah, exactly. How to break this down. The personal breakthrough session that we did ourselves in the 4-day master NLP changed my life. I worked with a girl called Jess and we worked through, I think we had an hour and a half to get through, what was the main thing that we wanted to work through at that time. And for me, I came out of that being like, holy hell, like I've been in this personal development space, since I was 18. So how long is that? Bad at math, but like 7 years now. And like I just hadn't had anything that was so impactful and just that really resonated with me on a level. Like it was so direct. Being in the spiritual community, it's very indirect and very floaty, and you sort of have to apply like your own meanings and your own teachings to it, and that can take years. So for us to get into that personal breakthrough session and be like, apply those like logical tools as well, really helped me break through. And then from that, I was like, everybody needs this.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, having that revelation yourself and then sharing that among the people is being the first convert, so to speak, then you're able to sort of pass that on. But is that something that you see a lot? And I can 100% say I agree with you, but in the more spiritual community, people who are focused more on those side of things, that there is almost like a choose your own adventure, create your own meaning, very, very open interpretation in terms of sort of growth and the journey, and a very almost like not helping anyone address the problem directly necessarily. Do you find that that's something that comes up a lot in that space? And is this kind of a good tool to use to counterbalance the more flowy side of things?
Yes, absolutely. It's an incredible tool to use to balance the flowy side of things. So I don't remember where I heard this quote, and I don't know how to paraphrase it correctly, but it spoke about, no matter how much work you do on your own spirituality, if you are unable to apply it to the materialistic world and the real world, it's basically meaningless. So for me, like having that introduction to yoga teacher training and doing all of those things that can be quite, not fluffy, because it's very in depth. It's quite hard work. But yeah, like you were saying, it's quite indirect. Having this tool to then direct. See, I'm such a fluffy answerer.
No, I agree. It's very esoteric at times in terms of its scope. And I think there are people that can get away, and I've seen this before, but people that can get away with sort of shying away from maybe the things that are uncomfortable for them to deal with through the guise of spirituality and through the guise of, but I'm cleansing my chakras, I'm healing myself, I've got my crystal, I've got these things, I'm doing yoga every day. It's like, all right, but you're not actually sort of sitting with what's actually going on for you at the moment and sort of addressing it. I feel like there's definitely a little bit of almost coping or hiding within that sometimes.
Absolutely. And it's not an excuse, but it's almost like, oh, well, I don't have to do these things or contribute to society because I'm on this journey of self. But my training and my mentors have always instilled in me that, if you can't apply it to day-to-day life and you can't contribute to society and put what you've learned into practice in the real world, then it's a pretty selfish act sometimes.
It's like to know and not yet to do is not yet to know, right? It's one of my favorites. But I remember I used to be exactly like that when I was in network marketing. I would pretend that I was building my business by doing the personal development, because the whole theme was, your business will grow to the length that you're willing to grow yourself. So I was like, I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm growing my business. So no, you're not. You're taking the easy way out of growing your business. Like the comfortable one. I can sit here and listen to Jim Rohn talk for hours and hours, and I never have to speak to anybody or face rejection. Oh yeah, that's the same thing. So it is interesting to have that perspective from someone who's been more in that space. There's a balance that's required. And as you said, if someone's not willing to take action on the day-to-day and really put that into place in their life in many different areas, then ultimately they don't know it. They don't truly know it if they're not willing to action it. And that's where you see these tools coming in.
It's a good balance. Balancing, I do a lot of work like with the masculine and the feminine, like the yin and the yang, balancing those. I feel like that's something super important to learn, because I feel like a lot of people pick and choose certain things out of certain spiritual practices and just do what suits them. So balancing it with practical coaching and NLP tools is awesome.
Beautiful. What would you say is some of the most common things? I mean, you mentioned sort of the balance of the masculine and feminine. What are some of the other really common things that you've seen pop up in people in the last sort of 6 months or so that you've been doing this? Like, what are some of the common threads in terms of your clients, maybe their challenges or their perceived solutions? Like, what are some of the things that you've noticed as a bit of a trend?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people that I've worked with, whether they're men, women like 18 or 36, just want more out of the life that they're already living. So there's a huge theme that I work with, that people just want more fulfillment. So, they might be really happy with where they're at in their life, but they just want to know how to make the most out of their day, like how to actually enjoy the things that they have already manifested into their physical reality. Like I'm working with an elite athlete, like she's a world championship cheerleader. And, we had a conversation the other day and she's like, oh, well, I got my thing. And now I'm like, how do I enjoy it? How do I actually step into, having that goal and being the person that's now reached this goal?
Yeah. Oh, it's such a powerful thing. And in NLP, we teach there's a principle, which is the NLP it's about the science of achievement and then the art of fulfillment. Because within the two, it's like achieving things, it can be, down to a science. Like if you do the actions, right, in the right way. And you know, that's what NLP is based off, modeling, right? You model successful people, you copy what they do. They train this way, you train this way. They do this, you do this, right? And you just follow along. Like I've recently done that with my training, right? And my training in nutrition, I've dropped down sort of 10 kilos. Now I'm gaining. It's like achieving those things is the easy part. That's the science part. That's the part where you can just logically focus and get it done. But having a six-pack and feeling fulfilled about who you are when you have that six-pack, there's two very different things. So it's interesting to see that thread of helping people understand that, yes, fulfillment is an art, and being okay. Like I feel like people tend to be more fulfilled being okay with what they have, and that stops them from achieving, or they are achieving in order to get that fulfillment, but they'll never let themselves get that fulfillment because they're too busy achieving. And they think that the achieving is what's going to bring them fulfillment, right? So it's trying to bring people into that balance. So like, no, you can still achieve and be fulfilled, and you can still be fulfilled while you achieve, like finding that balance. That's a really interesting sort of mix of thread of people. I like that.
Yeah, we work off the sort of basis of, you know, like once I have everything that I need, then I will find peace. And I sort of get in there and go, no, like once we find peace where we are, then everything we need / want will come to us. So it's that switching that thinking, setting that intention and being like, okay, like what is it actually that you thought you were going to get from this? Can you just do that now? And it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, really powerful. Love that. I love that. What are some of the, I guess, the consistent tools that you found that you use a lot with clients? Now, whether it's maybe if you can give me like a top 2 or 3, what are either the questions that you find you ask a lot? What are the tools that you tend to rely on a lot, or that you find are best used with clients in this situation? What are your sort of top 2 or 3 sort of hacks or tools that you tend to use a lot?
Good question. Really good question.
Bucks.
Oh, see, you didn't even need your questions. Nah. The biggest tool that I like to use, and this, like, the feedback comes back all the time, is the values elicitation. Right. So really getting down to what's important in the context of your life. And that's what we learn, you know, in our masters. We learn it in AOC as well. Like a lot of people don't know how to distinguish between what they value and what their values actually are. And so making that distinction and giving them a checklist of their top 5 highest values so that they can physically look at and, you know, take stock of their life and go like, oh, is my job, you know, is it fulfilling these 5 values? Oh, it's actually not. Then what am I going to do about it? Stuff like that, like a practical tool.
Yeah, so good. And it is, as you said, it is really that sort of grounding practical tool of, oh, am I living in alignment with this? And living in alignment with your values is kind of the key to fulfillment, right? Like whether or not you're feeling fulfilled in living those values, whether or not your rules, as we talk about in Masters as well, are in place for those values is such a big one. And I know a lot of people, a few of the previous guests on the podcast have said, like, you know, the parts integration, the belief change. So it's really good to hear that, you know, depending on who you're working with, different tools are going to be really, you know, come to the forefront, and values. And obviously, given the scope of people you work with, is such a powerful tool for that. So what else? What are some of your other favorites, or the ones that pop up a little bit? Or even if it's just like questions that you find you ask them a lot that have them going, damn, that's a good question.
This has really, really got me thinking. I would say the emotional release techniques are something that comes up quite frequently with young people. I think we're taught a lot, like I know when I went to uni, we were taught a lot about emotional intelligence, but I don't think we were actually given practical tools and techniques to actually deal with what emotions we were facing. So working through, you know, we call it the onion of those 5 emotions, working through sadness all the way down to, you know, hurt, guilt, shame, guilt.
Hurt, guilt.
Yeah. That's the one. I always have to look at it to know the order.
That's right. I've done this long enough now. It's permanently cemented in my mind.
Working through those with young people, I think, is a really really powerful tool, because I just don't think we're given those tools and techniques in other areas of our life to, address that. Maybe anger is a surface emotion, and we may see ourselves as perhaps an angry person with a short fuse, but it may be because we're, still holding on to a bit of guilt or feeling shameful for some of the other decisions we've made in our life. So that's probably the second thing that comes up the most.
Yeah, I actually was reading a post on Instagram the other day from another, I think it might have been Jess, who you did, Jash, is that who you did your NLP with?
I did it with
Jessica
Thomas.
Oh, just Thomas. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
We attract a lot of Jesses here at Wild.
Yeah.
This is another master's client. She did a post about, she called it Sacred Rage. And I was like, all right, I'm going to read this post. But essentially it was speaking about how anger is very much it's like a blanket, not a blanket emotion in that it comes up in all areas, but a blanket in that it covers and suppresses a lot of the other emotions around it. And it suppresses other emotions that people are feeling. So anger might be the first thing that comes up, and it might be the thing that's there, but we've all heard of suppressed anger, right? And suppressed rage, but in the same token, it's also suppressing a lot of other emotions. So working through the onion, and again, that's another reason why it's so important to uncover the onion in that way and go through anger, then sadness, then fear, then hurt, then guilt. Because if you try to release, for example, guilt, right, without releasing the anger, that might be holding a few other things down, right? Then it all bursts out and it becomes quite unhealthy. So it's just an interesting post I read yesterday, a bit of a tangent.
No, I love that. I love the sacred rage. That's awesome. Yeah.
And it's like allowing ourselves to sort of feel it and express it and sit with it rather than, brush it off as a negative emotion, right? And there's no such thing as good or bad emotions. It's just, is this serving me or not, right?
And that totally makes sense, that piece about like suppressing other emotions, particularly with the male clients that I work with. When we work through anger, they find that really easy to identify, points in their life where they've felt angry. And then as we work down the onion, it's a little bit more difficult, but they actually are like, oh, that's what that was. It was actually sadness, not anger.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's so easy, especially when in a, conditioned society with masculinity being a certain way, and obviously things are shifting a lot as of late, but the sort of we've talked about it before. It's not about a toxic masculinity problem, it's a lack of masculinity problem, right? It's not actually like masculinity in itself is not a bad thing. It's just what people think toxic masculinity is actually just a lack of true masculinity. And seeing that when men especially will feel those emotions, they will go to anger as their default, right? Like hurt, anger, guilt, anger, fear, anger. Like it's that default response to almost mask the things that are going on and be like, oh no, like as a guy, I'm not afraid, I'm angry, right? I'm not feeling hurt, I'm angry. Those aren't emotions that I should feel, right? And really teaching people to express and feel the true range of emotions without sort of needing that coping of anger is really powerful.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So tell me, I guess, a little bit about what is your sort of business model? If we shift gears a little bit, what is your business model? What does a typical client go through with you in terms of are you still just focusing on the breakthrough sessions? Are you doing longer packages? What is the scope of what you do at the moment?
Yep. So when I started my business, I was just focusing on doing personal breakthrough sessions, because we did break them up into 3 separate sessions, one going through the detailed personal history, and then from that developing and designing the next 2 sessions that would fit them individually, and be the best, easiest, quickest way to help them break through what they're going through right now. So I was starting off just doing those 3 sessions by themselves. And then now I've developed a 6-week program that's called Confidence from Within, where we work through, all those layers on the inside about why we're not feeling confident. So it's all about how to inspire confidence from within, whatever that means to you as an individual. So we'll work through a personal breakthrough session, then you'll jump into the 6-week course. And then from that 6-week course, if you really feel like you want to keep diving deeper, I've now just launched a 12-week program called Let's Get Real. So that's like a 3-month mentorship where we jump on a call once a week, and we're really like shaving the fat, I would say. Like, we're really just breaking through all that esoterical bullshit, and we're just getting to the realness, the rawness of it all, and just being like, right, let's look to, the next 3 months, and where do we want to be? What's the quickest way we're going to get there? We've done the foundations in the confidence from within to get you to a space where you feel like you know what you want and you can trust what you want, and that you can trust that you're going to get there. Now let's get there.
Nice. I like it.
Mm.
What do you feel separates you from some other coaches? I know that sort of there are, plenty of people that say that they work in the space of sort of confidence. What do you say, or what do you feel maybe is your unique difference, or the thing that you bring to the table that you feel is unique for you?
I think honestly, it's just my ability to be vulnerable with my clients and my ability to be open and honest. Like, I had to think about this question a few days ago, and I was like, oh, what is it that I do, But it's not actually anything that I do. I think it's more about who I am when I show up as a coach. So the last group that I worked through with the 6 weeks, like, I did the work alongside them. I don't come in and think, oh, I'm better than you guys. Like, I know all of this already. I just see myself as a little bit further along in this particular journey, and that I'm helping them get to where, they want to be, whether that's where I am or further along from where I am already. So, like, we would have weeks where we would all cry together. And so just being a part of the group rather than being like, obviously still being the leader and the facilitator, but that ability to open up and be, real, raw and honest.
I mean, people are more willing to sort of trust someone who's doing it with them, right? Or has done it themselves and is willing to sort of bear all. And we talk about this time and time and time again. No one wants a perfect coach. No one wants a coach who's got everything perfect. It's like, oh, it's the perfect person who grew up in the perfect life and has no issues, or has worked through everything and is all good to go now and is just sunshine, rainbows and lollipops. Like, like, that's not a coach, as you said, that people resonate with. That's not a coach that inspires someone to say, oh yeah, you know what, I really want to work with that person because they're already perfect, and they're practically perfect in every way, right? No one wants to work with Mary Poppins, except unless she wants to come and clean my house. I'll be more than happy for her to do that. Because but it's such a unique thing was a unique thing. It's becoming a little bit more common, but people being willing to be vulnerable and willing to show that they have flaws as a person, and they are learning and they're still going through this. It almost takes clients back sometimes, like, oh, whoa, you're dealing with this too, or you're sharing that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a human being as well. I'm dealing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, with some of these clients, we're only just getting to know each other. So if I'm expecting them to open up and share, I think that it's only fitting that I lead by example. And I think that that's always how I've been. I'm the oldest of 4. And, if you tell someone to do something, but you're not doing it yourself, they're not going to listen to you. So, yeah.
Exactly. You can't tell your siblings to do the dishes and not help them out. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we do some pretty deep shadow work in the first few weeks of the 6-week course. So really just opening up that space and making it a safe and supportive space is super crucial.
Yeah, 100%. You've really got to pace and lead, right? If we're using the sort of the rapport and the NLP terminology, you've got to be willing to sort of go there first, to show that it's okay, to show that it's safe, and to build that community and that trust.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So what would you say, obviously having had massive success in the last 6 months in this journey, what would you say is the top tip that you would give to a new coach who's just starting out? What would you say is like the number one thing, bit of advice that you would give them?
Don't wait for clients to validate your own success. So don't wait until you have clients on your books to feel like you're worthy of being a coach. When I stepped into the space of wanting to be a coach, I fully believed it. Like, I had probably unjustified self-confidence, as we like to say.
Yep. Hey, it's good.
In my abilities. And I thought, no, like, I'm deciding to do this. I've done all the work to be here. I am a coach. And then from that, I just attracted all the right clients.
Right. So telling them to step into it, really embody it and own it before I think there's a quote, it's like, before anyone else sees it or believes it, you have to believe it and you have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
There's an
Absolutely.
old story about, I think it was like Walt Disney's brother who, when they ended up cutting the ribbon on Disneyland, Walt Disney had passed away. And one of the board members was like, oh, it's so sad that Walt isn't here to see this. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, he saw this before anyone else did. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So having that vision as a coach and having that ideal as a coach is super powerful. And what would you say is like the one thing that you would recommend they like avoid, or the sort of the pitfall or the trick or the trap? Obviously it's easy just to say, not believing in yourself or not seeing it first. But what else would you say is like a trick for young players that they need to watch out for?
Sort of like a don't do sort of thing, like
like a don't do, or just a beware, or like a maybe it's like a little mindset thing that may come up for them just to sort of prepare them.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't I'm going to try and word this in a way that doesn't sound as fierce as it sounds in my head. You can't achieve more than what you're already doing by staying where you are. Does that make sense? Yeah. So don't try to do crazy things from your comfort zone.
Oh, I like that.
So one of the reasons
can't skydive from your couch.
Yeah, literally. Well, one of the reasons why I had so much success as a coach is because I was originally going to move to Queensland, and I quit all my jobs, everything. I had no other choice but to succeed. So I was totally out of my comfort zone. I went from having, I think it was 3 jobs and studying at Wild, and then having no jobs and still having to, pay my course tuition, pay for everything else in my life. And I had to make it work. So take risks. And if this is something that you want, the universe is going to test you. Don't give in to those tests.
Love that. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good place to sort of wrap it up. I really appreciate the time on the call today. And I think that hopefully everyone else who's listening, if you have any questions for Maddi, or if you have any insights you took away, feel free to sort of leave us a review or comment on the YouTube video, wherever you're watching this. But yeah, Maddi, is there any final things that you'd like to share to all the coaches or aspiring coaches out there?
Not just good luck. If it's something that you're really meant to do, then just give it everything you've got and don't give up until you get to where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Make it a priority, make it happen. Love it. So where can people connect with you? Where can they find your work? Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, where are you at? Where are you hiding on the socials?
I'm pretty much just on Instagram. Yeah, that's where all of my clients filter in from. Facebook, you can check me out, but Insta's where I like to put all of my content and links and stuff for you to connect with me.
Awesome. And is that at Maddi Callipari, or is there like an underscore or a dot in there? Or
no, it's just at Maddi Callipari.
Yep, MADDICALLIPARI. Nice.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I was a champion speller in primary school. I was pretty good if I do say so myself. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to have you on, and looking forward to seeing where you go in the next. In 2022, it's going to be a big year, and we're looking forward to seeing how everyone grows and progresses. And who knows, maybe we do a 12-month recap, check in, where are you at, and go from there. Yeah, that would be amazing. Thanks so much for having me, Jace. Really appreciate it. No worries at all. And to everyone out there listening, be bold, have fun, make an impact. And we'll see you all on the wild side. Good evening, good afternoon, and good night.